Alright everyone, hello. It's time for another YouTube video. You could argue it's been time for another video for a few weeks now, but it's the time I could force myself to make one. So anyway, let's hop into this quick so I don't waste too much of your guys' time. So this is the Kunze Panzer. It is a tier 9 reward tank, similar way as the Phase 1, the Charfuture, the 777. I'm sure you've seen them before. This is just the new one. So you get this through the Battle Pass. You can acquire it by gathering all of these tokens here. You can see on stage 10 for the improved pass. In order to get the Kunze Panzer, you do need to purchase the pass. You need to get the bottom like row of loot items or progression items perhaps for the full 18, I think. So it's 6 in this season. You could see 2 here and so on and so forth as a repeat in chapter 2. So on and so forth. So it's a total of 18 at the end, and you'll need to spend the full 18 tokens in order to get the Kunze Panzer. So why would you want to get it? Let's hop into, I assume, what most of you are here for. I'm running a pretty good setup here, along with quite a strong crew. I'll pull up all their kit and you could give them a look quickly. You could see this is my Leopard 1 crew as well. So it does fit a Leo 1 crew quite comfortably. Let's do this actually. Alright, so you can look at the stats here quickly on the right hand side of your screen. We are running a 390 Alpha gun. It's a 105mm gun, so nothing you haven't seen before. Excuse me, you have 268 base pen on the APCR, which is met with a very comfortable 1478 meter per second velocity. So the APCR standard on this is quite comfortable. You'll definitely be maining that as far as general ammo usage and only using the heat where you really need it. So this is certainly a nice tank in that regard. 15 degrees of gun depression is only in the siege mode. We'll get to that when we get into a battle. It's a lot easier for me to show it to you than try and describe it to you. We have a 2.35 second aim time, 0.37 dispersion. Combine that with a 6.87 second reload, and you've got a pretty comfortable gun here. Now, the kick is with that gun performance, that only applies in mobility mode. And again, we'll get into that in the live gameplay, and I'll hopefully show it to you a bit more clearly. Now, 3400 DPM with this mode, the mobility mode is quite nice. That's very comfortable considering the rest of the gun stats. You can do quite well. So we'll get onto some of the other stuff here. As far as equipment, I would recommend, provided you have a good crew, you run food, moderate equipment, you can get away without coated optics. However, if you want to, you can swap out the vents for coated optics. You can even make the argument to drop the vents for a turbo if you'd like. It does have a mobility slot in its first like equipment thing down here, which will make turbo even like more higher performing, which is nice, or highly performing. I don't know, whatever. You can get a couple of different sets of equipment going in this, and it'll be quite acceptable. 33.6% camo, which if you saw my crew is not fully trained, so you can get this even higher. It's quite a small tank, so you could definitely do some scouting in that sense if you'd like. Where if it's late game and you want to poke a bush, you've had that opportunity. The view range is 466 on my crew, like I said. The mobility is quite nice. In speed mode, it's 65 forward, 23 reverse, which is more than enough for pretty much every battle you'll find yourself in. You're not going to be doing EBR things in this generally, so it should prove fine. 1600 hit points as well, by the way. Let's also cover this quickly. The hull armor is 40, 30, and 20. So 40 in the front, 30 in the side, 20 in the rear. You will get HE penned in this more times than you won't if people are shooting HE at you. It is a nightmare. The turret armor is 63 on the front, which again is really quite bad. 53 on the side, and then 53 on the rear as well. The HE on this, actually, I don't think I covered it, has 53 pens, so you can potentially HE pen, your adversary who's also in one of these. It's a pretty big issue. One of the biggest flaws of the tank, in my opinion. So before I waste any more time in the garage, let's hop into a live game and I'll talk about the siege mode mechanic and hopefully clear that up for you. Okay, so here we are on Berlin, a map where this tank will struggle, in my opinion. The gun depression is super nice, however, the turret armor, as we mentioned, is kind of unfortunate. And to that note, actually, this tank is not going to be particularly easy to play or less experienced player friendly. I'm not saying you can't throw, you know, your average Joe into this and they won't post a good result. They definitely can. However, it might be a bit hard to do that consistently. There's a lot to manage between that siege mode and mobility mode, that lack of armor, so on and so forth. That can be a little tough. So I'll show you here, in the mobility mode, you can see we have that 6.8 second reload, really rough gun handling. Someone on my stream last night compared it to a leopard with a broken gun, which I think is actually quite accurate. But you can see just sort of how rough it is here in practice. You're not going to be hitting much on the move. It's very similar to the CS63, the Polish medium mechanic. But we'll push up here, and I'll show you exactly what I'm referring to with the siege mode. So we have that good gun handling now, which is great for brawling. You're not going to be using this to snipe, but now that we're in position, we press X, which is the default key, I think. You can see our reload jumps from 6.8 to 9 seconds. Our gun handling gets heavily improved, and our gun depression, if I really push this, is it's almost otherworldly. It's quite ridiculous. So it's a pretty nice set of advantages versus disadvantages. You can see our mobility here, just how rough it is. We hit, you know, 16 in a reverse on moderate terrain. Forward is about 25-ish, give or take a couple more. But we'll set up here and see what we can see. Now, I'm sure you can imagine just how rough that will be to sort of micromanage in your average match. I am genuinely horrified of artillery, because as we mentioned before, that armor is really not going to do much for you. Now, I'm assuming there's a light tank potentially in the dip like here or something, and we're going to switch to mobility mode, and I'm going to try and get the hell out of here, because I don't want to get caught here and die. So we'll cut down and go back up north or something. I just don't want to get caught out there. Otherwise this review won't be very helpful for a lot of you, I'm sure. But again, you could see that shift in gun handling. You could see that shift in gun depression. It's not bad. You get about 10 degrees gun depression as far as I'm aware in the mobility mode. And 10 degrees is very rarely something to complain about. But when you have access to 15, it's hard to be like, well, this is nice, but this I love. So we'll try and push up here and do a little bit of brawling. Not that this thing can't brawl, you certainly have a strong enough gun to do that. But the issue you're going to run across is trading effectively, where sure you can do damage and pen reliably, but doing that consistently without taking too much in return might be tough for a lot of players. So we'll poke here, get a free shot there, perfectly average roll, which is fine, and we'll continue to kind of push the envelope. I'm gonna go straight over here and hopefully get some free shots in the side. I'm gonna push right into this next area too, because those guys are cutting inside. We get a round in, no luck though. Is this an IS-2? It is. Again, we'll just push. I may have a shot on him. No, we're not gonna have any luck. We'll poke here. You can see we got him right in the side. That's fine. This gun is very passable for brawling, as I've mentioned. Any of this close quarters stuff and that reload and gun handling really are no problem. It's only when you switch to that siege mode that you'll start really running into issues in that sense. So we have a Ferdinand in front of us. I don't want to sit in front of him. I will run around him and hopefully get some nice farm. I'm not too worried about the Patton. He will get a shot on our side more than likely, which is fine. We do have a relatively moderate HP pool. I will push this a little bit. I think he just shot. Go for the track. We'll pull back. Again, I don't want to go in siege mode because I want to maximize this DPM. Pretty good damage roll there. We'll keep it going. Another shot. That's a free kill. And now we'll push again. I'm worried about that ISU. He can hit me pretty comfortably. I'm going to switch modes here. You can see just how much you get when you do that swap. You don't necessarily need it, but having it just to secure that shot is nice. In this case, I probably will switch as well. I'm going to keep the heat loaded, and I am going to swap modes in a second. Heat will allow us to pen this guy pretty reliably, if we get to spot him in the first place. Beautiful shot there. Now, you can do some weird metagaming, I think, where when you fire in siege mode, you leave. That should cut the reload down a little bit. And then you swap back in about 2 seconds, and then you can repoke. Already just shot. We saw that tracer, which is good. I'm going to swap modes again, and we're going to get in there and brawl, because it's only a UDES and an Artie left. The Artie just shot. Let's try and cut in here as quick as we can. So, all in all, this was a pretty good game. I hope the siege mode is a bit more clear to you now. It's not like some unbelievable, you know, rocket science level, mechanic. It's a little less intuitive than I think most players are going to be familiar with. Now, as a whole, I do really enjoy this vehicle. It's certainly the most unique out of all the ones that are available out of the Battle Pass now. However, it's definitely going to be a bit more difficult to play than I think a lot of people are used to. So, all in all, I hope that covers everything regarding this vehicle. You can see the performance here at the end. Let me close this out. 121k. I did fire a pretty healthy chunk of heat this game, but we did a pretty nice amount of damage. 4.5k is very comfortable. You know, top of the team by far, top of the match by far. We made 59,000 credits, but that's because of a mission, so pull that, and we made about, 54,000. My apologies, I switched to the 9 and the 4. We made about 4k profit firing a pretty healthy amount of heat. The auto resupply of consumables, you know, it is expensive, but if I had to pay for this kit, I would have lost about 16k, I think, so it's nice that it's there. Anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. I'll have one for the Can-81 PT as well rather soon. Hopefully you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next time, or on stream. The link's in the description.